Me a favor first, just tell me your name.
Okay, Danny Madrid. And I teach over at Cal State LA at the Department of Sociology.
But let me tell you what's so important, Danny, is the fact that not only are you a professor, instructor, associate professor, but you've also spent time inside.
That's correct.
So how much time did you do in the gated community?
Yeah. Altogether, from as a juvenile, I did 10 years. I did 6 years on one bid for a gang-related shooting.
Right.
Back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Right, and then another 4 years after that.
And so but for the last maybe since 1999 or 2000, I discharged my number. In 2000, I've been clean since.
All right.
Yeah.
But see, a lot of people don't understand that just because, I'm going to say me and not you, just because I can go to jail, I can go to prison, but I could also go get an education and I could be upstanding and have people respect me in this line of work.
Absolutely.
So you're a true example of that. So what area you come from?
I hail from the Mid City area, the Mid City, Mid Wilshire area of LA.
And what do people recognize that as?
Well, my old neighborhood was Clanton, C14, and
Clanton.
but it was really interesting because I belong to a Mexican neighborhood, but I could have very easily been in rolling 20s Bloods too.
Is that right?
Because I had a lot of buddies that were in Bloods at the time, and it was tricky business for me back then.
Yes, sir. So you went to LA High, Mount
Vernon?
To
LA High. I went to John Burroughs Junior High. I should have gone to LA High, but I was already in a can by that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, real good. So look, we were just talking about the history of some things that were happening on the east side, and I've heard about Frogtown and White Fence and some of these other gangs that were really prevalent back in the 60s or even before.
Far before, yeah.
Right, well, I was born in the 60s, so that's when I started hearing about it. But let me ask you, man, you were telling me about the train, and can you talk about that train and what was going on?
Yeah, so White Fence, I remember hearing this story back in the 90s, old B number, a dude from White Fence. He had been in there for a long time, and he was my cellmate for about 6 months, and I got to know him really well. And he basically told me that the story that he had been passed down to him, and that was that White Fence originally there was a train, a passenger train, rail train that would come through town on the outskirts of town, and these were mostly tourists coming to downtown LA, coming from Arizona, Texas, wherever, that Union Pacific line. And what happened was these passengers started complaining about the immigrant town that they would pass right before they got to downtown LA, because they would see a lot of.
So what is that? Is that the Martavillas? Is that the Big Hazard?
It was around that by the Dogtown area.
By the Dogtown
area. Okay. And when they were, because White Fence had to shift over a little bit, I think, somehow in the geographics. But what happened was the city of LA commissioned a big wall made out of wood to block that passage where the trains came in. And what happened? And they painted it white. The city painted it white. And so what happened was the kids in that neighborhood adopted that symbol as their own, and it was a white fence. And so they came to call themselves the town of White Fence, and essentially.
What year? Do you know what year that was?
From what I remember, this was about the late 1920s, man. So that was a long time ago.
So is that the oldest gang in LA?
I assume.
Is it older than Dogtown?
It's older than Dogtown, and I've always heard through the grapevine that White Fence was the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the old ones too, like Maravilla. Some of those guys are old too, but
yeah,
but I think White Fence is the oldest. Yeah.
I'm going to do an interview with a guy from Maravilla real soon, but that's great information on White Fence, man. And
definitely.
What about Clanton, man? Because they always say Clanton is one of the oldest gangs.
Yeah, that's
an
old gang
man.
too. So Clanton started off. It was two streets. It was two streets in LA, off Clanton Street. Well, we called it Clanton, but it was really called Clanton Street.
Yes, sir.
It was Clanton and 14th, not far from where.
So that's why they call them Clanton 14 and not 13.
Right, because we were the street.
So it wasn't disrespectful.
No, we were around way before that whole 13 thing came out with the Mexican Mafia. And we would have been around the central, modern day would have been around like central by where the Coca-Cola plant is.
Yep. That's about 14th Street.
Not far from where the Coca-Cola plant is. That's would have been the original neighborhood right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, so what do you teach over at Cal